Hey guys, how's it going? This is 50mm 372. Messing around with these junky cylinders that I've been messing with, and I'll tell you what, I'm doing pretty good, learning a lot. This was that second worst cylinder, and I made a good runner out of it. You see that intake wasn't too happy, but I think that's where my little bit of torque loss is on this. There's the numbers I come up with. That smiley face means that's a good runner. Numbers. Yeah, what this does when you run it, it runs real good. Like when you get into a big piece of wood, once you let it rev good, once you start cutting, then you can dog in on it and it has all the torque you need. But it's like when you first rev it up and you put it in the wood, it might stall for a second, but then after you let it rev, run for a second or two, then it cuts real good. I did JB weld these to fix that because I messed that up. Yep, this is the first cylinder I grind on, so works good. This is the next one we're going to be playing. This is my worst cylinder. Let's see if I can do something with this. It's the numbers there. Did the maximum amount of machine work I could do because it had a decent ring of death there. So I had to use that piston. It's roughly about 140 thousandths from the top of the piston to the ring. So we should just barely be there. Plus your 20 squish, so you should be right there. That's how I do my intakes. It is harder. I'm telling you, it is harder. It takes time, but that's the way I do them. JB weld them. These upper transfers here, see that? I JB welded them. Yep, I've had good luck doing that. My 86cc, that's why that thing come to life. Them Hyways, they just go in and they're like flat. They don't run that good that way. Yep. So there's that. There's some guys that talked about these lungs. I don't know. What I think it does, here's what I think it does. On certain scenarios, on certain builds. Okay. Now obviously when the air and fuel's feeding into your cylinder like this and your piston comes down, that air and fuel hits that skirt and it bounces back and it might mess up your carburetor flow a little bit. What I think happens with this notch, I think when that pulse comes back, that gives it some room to soften that a little bit so the pulse isn't as hard when it comes back to hit your carburetor. So it doesn't disrupt flow as much. I don't know, it's things I've researched about stuff like that, but yeah, whether it works or not, I don't know. There's a debate. That might actually take your torque down a little bit, maybe not. Those things I'm going to be playing with a little bit. I might JB weld this one and see how my torque comes up. I do have a measurement on all these ports. Little secrets that I'm keeping. This Italy tech never get this thing to run right. Some numbers I tried different. 126, they didn't run right. Did the machine work and everything. Corrected it. Got my compression up. What I think it is, I think this port's too far down. I think it's about 30-40 thousandths too far down. And I might JB weld that, grind that roof, because among all these cylinders, it's like 40 thousandths too far, and that's the only thing I'm finding out, because everything here is very similar to what I have among all 6 cylinders I have, except the intake. Yep, so that could be what's going on. I did drop these just a smidge. because I think that does hamper airflow, because I experienced that. This thing wasn't quite running right, it was running weird, but when I put this in the wood and you cut for a little while, you watch that RPM come up. What that means, it's running lean. There's a airflow issue. So I ground these down to correct that. I think that's why guys do that. Because when you have all that extra air and fuel going up in here, and you have a restriction here, you're going to have airflow issues. If that makes sense. I did a lot of testing on a lot of these cylinders, and I've come up with some different methods. This is another cylinder. This one here, I'm probably going to run, I got like a little pop-up piston I made for this. That's probably going to be the numbers where it is. Like if I take more out of the squish, that's where the numbers are going to be. But yeah, this will be next after that Hyway cylinder. Probably do like 2 or 3 different builds on this, just for fun. But yeah, did watch Scott Kuntz. He talked about some of this stuff. Yeah, I agree with a lot what he said, and a lot of what he says makes sense about intakes and stuff like that. I find on saws, now I try to JB weld every intake I do. I always try to shrink them, and I find that brings up the performance or the torque in the wood. Not necessarily a screamer saw, but I think they cut pretty good for work saws. To run like a 28, 32 inch bar, you know, dogged in. That's just one of the things I've noticed. But yeah, hey. Till next time, guys, keep feeling the heat.